2024 regular scheduled board meeting to order. I've come up with a new little thing we're going to try tonight. We're going to hopefully start doing this going forward. I've asked a local pastor to come and say the prayers, Pastor Sean Johnson from First Baptist Church in Dowling Park. Just something that Gilchrist County does, and I thought was really a cool twist. So this is Pastor Sean Johnson. He's the pastor there at First Baptist Dowling Park. So he's going to lead us in the prayer, and then myself will lead us in the pledge. So if you would, please stand.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let's pray. Father God, for your many blessings, we are so thankful, and we thank you for the honor and privilege we have to gather in your name tonight. I thank you, Lord, for our local government. I thank you for the work that they do for our community and for our citizens. And I pray, God, that you would just continue to bless them, give them wisdom, give them discernment, give them guidance, watch over them and protect them. We thank you, Lord, that we acknowledge tonight that all authority has been given unto you under heaven and on earth. And we acknowledge that, and we just praise you for the opportunity we have to gather and the freedoms that we have as a nation to gather in a meeting such as this to discuss the affairs and relationships and programs within our county, within our area, within our state. And Father God, we just pray that everything that we say and do tonight will bring you honor and glory, for you alone are worthy of our praise and our glory. For it is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Pastor Johnson, for that. We appreciate it. This chair is such a weight. Okay, first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the September 3rd, 2024 regular scheduled board meeting and the September 5th, 2024 tentative budget hearing. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Motion to approve, Chairman.
Okay. Have a motion by Commissioner White, have a second by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0 on those minutes. Next item on the agenda is public concerns and comments. I do have a couple comment cards here. River Oak, Miss Tracy Henderson, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Come, if you would, come to the podium and name and address for the record, although I have it here.
Okay, and I'm a teacher, so I gave you guys handouts.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
My name is Tracy Henderson, and I am a retired teacher, but I work as a consultant at River Oak Technical College, and my address is 725 Suwannee Avenue, Southwest.
Thank you.
I asked to come today because being a consultant, I get to do the fun things at River Oak. Like the career fair that some of you have taken part in years past and every year. But also, in November, River Oak likes to honor our veterans. And in particular, we like to try to raise funds for Hooked on Heroes here. It's just kind of near and dear to River Oak's heart, and we love what they are doing with our veterans. So we have put together a 5K walk run. It is the Saturday before Veterans Day. It's November 9th. It will begin at River Oak. It will end at River Oak. We are going through the Parks and Rec. We're doing the loop, but we will do the Water Tower loop and follow what has been established 5K routes before. So we're going to be doing that. It is $35 for registrants to participate. We're also looking for sponsors, so you guys got a sponsorship thing. We've got to buy bananas and water and shirts, and we really are hoping this will be an annual event to help our community, to help the veterans in our community, to help with the Hooked on Heroes. Part of the proceeds will also go to the River Oak Skills competitors. Since we are starting we have check-in at 8 in the morning. With the start of the walk, we'll be at 9 o'clock. We'll be done before any college football games start, so just made sure of that. But there is a contact number here. The finance department of the school system has not figured out yet how they're going to actually collect money from people outside of the school system. But we have a contact number here and a very wonderful staff member of River Oak that had volunteered to take people's name and number and get back to them. So we appreciate you posting this. If you have a someplace at work that you could post it, we will give discounts, group rates for 5 or more walker runners, and we hope you'll take part. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Henderson? Thank you for coming,
Okay.
thank you for, trying to raise some funds for Hooked on Heroes. They do a great job for
They do.
taking the veterans fishing.
Yeah.
So thank you for that,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Henderson. And I have,
Can you read the number out loud? 647
40.
4208. She is a classroom teacher, but she made her voicemail to say, if you are calling about the 5K, please leave your name and number. Thank you.
And I'll leave these up here after the meeting. If anybody else would like a flyer, I'll just set some extras up there for the 5K run and walk.
And follow us on Facebook, River Oak on Facebook, because this is doing that with social media. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hanica, you're number 8. You want to speak on 18, right? Okay. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Mr. Broders, I saw your hand. Welcome, Mr. Broders. Name and address for the record when you get there, please, sir.
My name is Keith Broders. I currently live at 18929 60th Place in Live Oak. The thing I'd like to talk about today is, I was very disappointed today. Today is the 237th anniversary of the date in Philadelphia when the men sat down and signed the Constitution. Today I did a lecture at City Hall and 4 people came. I thought that was really kind of sad that the people talk and they worship the Constitution with their lips but not too much with their hearts. The one thing that I wanted to share with you today is if we go back to the preamble of the Constitution, the purpose of the Constitution, according to the preamble, was to create a more perfect nation, right? No, it was to create a more perfect union of sovereign states. According to the Treaty of Paris in 1783, King George of England in the English Parliament recognized the 13 former British colonies as independent sovereign nations. Florida is not a state. Florida is a nation. All of the 50 states are nations. The federal government is not a nation. It was never intended to be. If you go back to the beginning, the founding fathers were the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. And the Anti-Federalists felt that the current Constitution as it was proposed gave too much power to the central government, which would lead to a tyranny of the majority. They were absolutely right. And frankly, things began to change in the time when Abraham Lincoln was president. He gave a Gettysburg Address, and he made the announcement to the world that he had helped to create or give birth to a new nation. That's when our nation began, was after the Civil War. That's when our republic became a nation. Then a few years later, in 1871, there was the Organic Act of 1871, where the United States nation was turned into a corporation. Today, we are not a country, we're not a nation, we are a corporation. And I think that, unfortunately, as such, we are subject to the jurisdiction of a corporation which is largely owned and operated by international bankers and other international corporations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Broders. Mr. Klepper, welcome, sir. Name and address.
Moses Lepper, 14581 102nd Path, Live Oak. I like seeing change. Not that I haven't always enjoyed the prayer to begin the meeting by Mr. Perkins, but I like the idea. Change can be good. I got 4, 15, and 16. I'm pretty sure they're not going to be pulled. And I know item number 4 is not going to be changed for this. We don't have time, but I think that roughly we spend about $1.5 million a year on CEI services, and if that's not correct, somebody please correct me on it. But I don't see how we couldn't employ my idea, again, every time I get up here, I'm ignorant of some of this, but the way I broke it down, if we took someone certified that could do that job and paid them $100.50 a year based on a 2,080-hour work year, that'd be approximately $72 an hour. Could we find somebody that's in a big corporation to come do that? Probably not, but somebody coming out of school that's certified, or we could help them get certified, come to work for us, save us $1 million a year or more. I like that idea. I know we ain't gonna do this time, and nothing against Mr. Locklear at all. It's just my purpose up here is to help the taxpayers, and I'm sure he'll have plenty of opportunities to make money elsewhere. Appreciate if y'all would consider that and knock that around. Put it on the agenda. Do something with it. Save us $1 million. There's $1 million we can save right there, roughly, maybe more. Also on 15, thanks to one of our personnel here, I was provided with information that satisfied me on that. So I'm not going to address that. I can't believe I'm satisfied to see what's going on with that. And really, I don't know how much work it took to get what I got, but I appreciate it because I don't feel like we're being taken advantage of anymore. 16, the Madden Media, can't be satisfied with that one. Just the fact that they charge us is exactly $100,000, immediately that raised a flag to me. I don't know why it doesn't to anyone else, and I'm gonna run out of time here. But we've already been charged. If you go to 193 in the back papers, you'll see that we've already been charged for that $60,000. They're double dipping. I don't know who's causing it to happen, if that man out there is leading the pack or who is, but we've already paid. If you read the last paragraph of that page 193, you will see where website and hosting and maintenance, that's included in that $100,000 fee. So if y'all approve that tonight, y'all are directly doing injustice to the taxpayers of this county.
Thank you, Mr. Klepper. In regards to item number 4, I'm going to make a statement. We used to do that, and then DOT informed us that they've been letting us get by with doing our own inspections for several years, and they highly frown on that. So that has to be subcontracted out, to my understanding on that. You're not allowed to hire within, so to speak, to do your own CEI work. I think there's some engineers in the room, so y'all can stand and correct me if I'm wrong, but FDOT has told us that they frowned upon that and let us get by with it for a little while, but that's not procedure. Am I wrong, Mr. Scott? Did I say that wrong?
You're correct. Also, the CI is done through grants, not from our monies.
It doesn't come out of general revenue. It's funded through FDOT grants.
Right.
So if we don't use it there, we could use it extending 2 miles. That $1 million do 1 mile and 2 miles is short.
Agreed.
In public. Any other members of the public wishing to speak tonight? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Proclamations and presentations. Are there any proclamations or presentations to be given tonight? I wasn't aware of any. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. I do know we are pulling item number 14. Right, Mr. Morrison?
Yes, sir.
Item number 14 by the county attorney. Any other commissioners wishing to pull any other items? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve items 2 through 13 and then 15 and 16? 14 is pulled for discussion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner White. A second. Who was that?
Me.
Second by Commissioner Mobley. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Morrison, you want to go ahead and tackle number 14?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So a couple of years ago, the county executed a warranty deed for certain real property that it had purchased at a tax sale. And included on that real property were 2 mobile homes, and the tax deed to the county correctly recited the mobile homes that should have been on it. So that's, if you look at the agenda packet, I triple checked to make sure that we should have conveyed those mobile homes. That's true. So the first thing is we need to execute a corrective deed to include those mobile homes as they should have been passed as part of the real property. We have to do that. The other thing, and so that's the first thing, and that was what I put on to please be on the consent agenda. Earlier today, as to another matter, I was contacted by the closing agent on this same parcel because the person who we sold it to is now trying to sell it. And I'm going to try to keep this procedural history as short as I can, but essentially when the person who failed to pay their taxes still had the property, there were code enforcement proceedings taken against that person. And an order was entered, and Eric, for your benefit, so it's in the record, that's case number 18-03-01. A code enforcement action was initiated and instituted against the then owner named Cassandra Driver, D-R-I-V-E-R. And ultimately, she never paid any of the assessments that were assessed against her pursuant to this order. The county purchased the property at the tax deed sale, cleaned it up, and then sold the property. The problem is we then issued a warranty deed to the subsequent purchaser. And now this lien is showing up as a stain on title, however, because that lien runs with the property. So because we extended a warranty deed, we need to clear that violation. Luckily, the same party that issued the warranty deed is the same one that issued the order. Otherwise, there'd be some real title defects here. So given that, what I'm asking the board to give me the authority to do is to execute a satisfaction of the penalty in citation number 18-03-01. Authorize me to execute a satisfaction on behalf of the county, record that, and forward it to the title agent to cure that title defect as well.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. It wasn't that she satisfies it, it was that she didn't satisfy it.
She
The
didn't.
county ended up with it, and we cleaned it up.
We
The
cleaned it
county-
up, but then we
as
made
in
the
the
mis-
county at the time satisfied that,
Well, no,
or corrected it.
we corrected what had been
The code enforcement.
the code issue, but because we had issued a warranty deed, we're warranting that we're doing it clear of a title defect. So we're actually in violation of the warranty. So again, had this been a private owner, this would be a real big deal, but since we're the same party that issued the citation, we can satisfy it and cure the problem.
Fair enough. Any questions for Mr. Morrison on fixing this? Or do I have any discussion or motion?
So, Mr. Chairman, I need two motions. The first is to authorize you to execute the corrective warranty deed, and then the second motion would be to authorize me to execute a satisfaction.
I'm assuming Mr. Woodruff is the current owner that's trying to clear title?
Yes, sir.
Any volunteers?
I make a motion. On
we
the
get-
first one,
Yeah.
I don't guess anybody gonna speak up, so yes, I make a motion to the attorney's warranty deed.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner White to authorize chairman to execute the corrective warranty deed. Stated correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a second over here by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Now, what's your second motion you need, Mr. Morrison?
A motion to authorize me as the county attorney to execute and record a satisfaction on behalf of Suwannee County relating to the code violation in case number 18-03-01 to clear up any fines.
So moved as the attorney stated.
Smart move on the attorney stated. I have a motion by Commissioner White. Who's seconding that? Commissioner Perkins with a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I didn't
5.
say aye, but aye. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So motion carries 5-0, correct, Commissioner White?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That covers the consent agenda. We're on to, the next item on the agenda is the constitutional officers. Any constitutional officers present tonight wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll move along. Staff items, are there any, Mr. Fury has something? Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Just real quick, two things. One, just want to throw it out there about the rodeo coming up next month, October 18th and 19th. I think it's our 4th year doing that. So anyway, pro rodeo, we'll send some more information out. Mostly wanted to come up and just let you be aware. After the river has gone down from Hurricane Debbie, we've gotten into Little River Springs, and there's a little bit more damage than we expected in there. So I need to follow up with Chris as well. But we're meeting with water management. There's a lot of erosion out there on the river, on the spring side, on the spring run, up by the sidewalks, kind of caving in, and it's not real stable and safe right now. So we're meeting water management out there. There's a lot of tree issues as well that are basically in the spring run, leaning down and over the spring. So a little hesitant to open it up. I don't know what we're going to find. You know, we got some restrictions on what we can and can't do in the spring run, so we're obviously starting with water management and see where we go. But I'll bring that back to you guys and see. I know we're still under a state of emergency, but we're not going to go out there and spend a bunch of money yet. I'll bring back some sort of game plan to you guys after we talk to them and kind of see what we need to do and what we can do. So just want to make you aware Little River's a little bit of a concern right now.
Mr. Fury, while you're talking to them, would you let water management know that, time is of the essence there, the public would like to get in there, but it's a safety issue. Obviously, if there's trees that could potentially fall over into the run, which
Sure.
is a popular spot for kids to hang out because it's shallower.
Certainly.
If anything they can do to expedite getting approval or disapproval.
Money.
And then also the funding side of that, while
Yeah.
we're under LSC, there may be some opportunities for reimbursement due to Hurricane Debbie, so if you could pass that to them.
Will do.
Great.
Absolutely. All right.
What else you got?
That was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fury.
Thank you.
Mr. Roberts, welcome, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. I
Sir.
wanted to just offer a brief update related to grants and procurement. As you can see, I have Holland Freeman with me.
You turned it off.
Doing some work. How
There you
about
go.
that?
That's better.
There we go. I've got Holland Freeman with me, and I just wanted her to be here today. There might be some questions. If she felt like she wanted to answer some, she could. She doesn't do this a lot, so
I think she's
just
mean mugging you right now.
Oh, she's been mean mugging me for days. So from a grant perspective, there's a couple of things I just wanted to share. Currently, I'm tracking 18 active grant agreements with different agencies that total about $40 million. Those grants are tied to 16 different projects. We have another $12 million we're working to procure or obtain, maybe within the next 6 or 8 months. So my guess is going into the new year, we'll be managing about $52 million across several economic development projects, public safety projects, community facilities, and housing. So one of the other things I wanted to share with you, the board signed an agreement with Cherry Beckert. We're going to have a kickoff for that engagement tomorrow afternoon. So in that particular engagement, they're going to take a look at try to find out if the county has been underpaid by any funding or grant programs. If they are, they can work with us to get that money back or a portion of it. The other piece that's really important for us is they're actually going to create a mechanism where we can be using some of our expenses as a match for other grants. That's important because we don't go after grants where we have to bring money to the table. It's like, if you want to buy a house, you got to have a 50% down payment. Well, I don't want it that much. That's kind of the approach that we've taken. Now we're going to have an opportunity to do that. That opens up more funding to us. I'm a little excited about that. With all this money and the things that we have from these grants, there's a natural flow from grant work into procurement work. And I know everybody loves procurement. It is totally awesome. The county administrator has challenged us to take a look at some automated systems. And Holland has been doing that. We've been working together. She's done an incredible amount of work to take a look at automated systems. She's been looking at the processes we followed in the past, what's good and bad, what do we need to follow going forward. We've been mapping out the workflow. You know, I've said this before, getting the grant is far less work than managing it over time. A grant is nothing more than a big pot of money that you have to spend, but you got to spend it in the proper way or else you run afoul of either state or federal law, and that creates big problems. So understanding that process is important. One of the things we're finding out about these new systems is they are highly collaborative. We had a very disjointed process in the past. These new systems allow us to incorporate help from outside vendors, and I think one of the best things it does, it will even give local vendors the ability to apply and connect to the system to get updates for when business activities occur, when solicitations are posted. They can sign up and interact with the system, which we've never done before on an automated way. The other thing I think it does is it's going to help us present better information, better details. It tracks our progress. It automatically tabulates things for us. And once we go through a solicitation phase and we complete it and we're going to award a contract, these systems will actually let us manage the contract from that. Ms. Freeman, is there anything you would like to add? Gentlemen, do you have any questions about either the grants or the procurement items?
Commissioner Hale, you're a senior commissioner. You got a very strenuous question for Ms. Freeman?
You know, I'd love to put her on the spot, but she's already given me that eye, that look over here as well. I know her, and I appreciate you both stepping up and doing this. And if there's ways that we can maybe gain extra funding or save ourselves money in the process of it, I just appreciate you guys doing this. I mean, that's a long time coming. I appreciate it. I know, Shannon, you've worked hard on this, so definitely appreciate it.
Very well, sir. Happy to do it.
And you said local contractors can log into this and?
Yes, they can. When we produce a solicitation, we can invite them. We can go say, hey, we can contact them. Will you join our system? And then that way, when it comes out, they'll receive a notification to their email if they want. And then if they want to apply, they can do it electronically or do it paper. We can accommodate either way. But it makes it easier for them to be aware when the county's looking for services.
So this, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's a great idea.
No, I think it's a great idea too. So this would somewhat be, I guess you could say, competition for Demand Star. So that local vendors wouldn't have to subscribe to Demand Star. If they participated in this, they'd get the notification that, hey, Suwannee County's looking for a wheel loader or whatever. Or
That's right.
I seen Holland wanting to answer that
She
question.
did. Come on now.
She was going to speak up.
It's in addition with Demand Star. So it's the company. One of the companies we're looking at is actually owns Demand Star, and so it would go through that company, and they would be the ones responsible of maintaining the record of contact information and all that kind of stuff. So that would take that responsibility off of us, which would be great. But then I honestly lost my place in what the question was.
no, so
communicate with them.
on the vendors, once say, hey, I want to be notified of Suwannee County's desires or needs.
Solicitations.
Yeah, solicitations.
It would notify them anytime.
Do they have to
Suwannee
pay for
posted.
that, like they do with Demand Star?
That I'm not sure of, and I can get back with you on it.
Okay. Hopefully not. If the county's gonna,
I mean, they say it's free to vendors, but
I think it would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be less for you guys to have to track and make sure, and then, posting it on our website, and then puts a lot of burden on some of the vendors that may not have the resources to subscribe to Demand Star. I don't know what that costs every year, but to be consistently checking our website for any, or reading local newspapers.
Mr. Chairman, maybe that'll result in more bids instead of just one or two that you.
Well, I think it would help the information because, we hear it from time to time. We didn't know, a lot of
I think it's wonderful.
become a web, subscribe and you get the email notifications. I think that's really good. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Appreciate you both.
Can I ask a quick question?
Mr. Fontana has a question.
Yeah, as far as the automated systems, does it also help you to manage any requirements from the government on any parts of the county as far as how the money's going to be spent or other things that it could possibly impact that the county has to do or can't do? That's a lot of times.
I don't think it'll be more of a, it won't be like a budgetary type. That would be going through the clerk's office. It'd be more of like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is the first I've heard about it too, but it seems to me it would be more along the solicitation and the procurement side of, hey, we're looking to buy this.
Yep.
And then vendors would get notified that Suwannee County's looking for whatever, a wheel loader, that's what I used earlier.
Well,
Okay.
when that's a good question. When we do solicit different services or for items we want to procure, there's a certain set of requirements where state law has requirements for people to respond to things in different industries, construction, engineering, yada, yada. So there are certain things when the county bids, there are legal requirements that are embedded into the solicitation. So we'll have a template of that, and we'll work with our legal resources to, if they get updates. Additionally, in grant funds, they also come with a different set of requirements as well. Those will also be incorporated into that. That just lets you know, like, for instance, if you're going to bid on something, you have to comply with the Copeland Anti-Kickback Act of 1976 or whatever it was. Those types of things get embedded in it, and we just keep them in there. We maintain a solid base template that we can reuse, and if we discover new things or grant requirements have new things, we'll add them. As to how the money is spent on the grant, that's another function of grant administration and contract management to make sure the county's being compliant there. Any other questions for Ms. Freeman?
Sorry.
Mr. Chairman,
Good job.
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
that's one way we can work on have the vendor list that we've been working on for a while, and keep it automated so that it keeps it fresh also. And if Holland would like, she can let you know from memory what all we've got out to bid now for the public to know.
Oh. I think he was kidding.
Well, it's
Well,
in
go
my
ahead.
brain.
Lay it on us.
Currently, we've got the fencing repair bid that's going out. It's officially in the paper tomorrow. It's currently on the website. And then we've got some other ones that we're elbow deep in paperwork trying to figure out. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
So the fencing would be like collection sites? Right.
Yeah, the collection site repairs.
All the repairs done needed at the collection sites.
They need it for sure.
Yeah, the tree damage from
Idalia.
The first one.
Idalia,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Yep. That's what we currently have out.
Any other questions for Ms. Freeman or Mr. Roberts?
Great job.
Thank
I
y'all.
appreciate
Very
y'all.
good.
Like I said, I appreciate
You can breathe now, Ms. Freeman.
Yeah. Trying to get me in trouble.
Are there any other staff items tonight? I'm going to jump down. Mr. Bowles, are you here for the additional agenda item? I'm going to jump ahead, guys. We got a couple folks here that are waiting on this additional. It's a procedural type thing. I'm going to jump, if that's okay with y'all. I'm going to jump down to the additional agenda item. It's a protocol thing. There's only one additional agenda item. It's the approval of award number ME025 with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for law enforcement salary assistance for fiscally constrained counties. Budget impact $794,717, which will be used by law enforcement and correctional officers. This is money that comes from the state through FDLE, I believe. Every year we have to do this to approve to basically accept the money. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I see two sheriff's offices.
The governor graciously has awarded it to us, although there's 29
Yep.
constrained counties, so he's graciously awarded it to us. Now, FDLE, they just monitor and give it to us. So we get the money they give us in budget. Every quarter we get a draw from
for
them.
the public.
But the governor has one that's done it for us.
The governor has done it. FDLE is the watchdog.
Yeah, they administer it to all the 29 physically constrained counties. Yes, sir.
And for anyone present that may not be aware of what this is for, this helps the physically constrained law enforcement agencies, sheriff's offices, compete with the state agencies like FHP, state FDACS. Like I say, I'm very, very grateful to have that because it'd be hard to compete with the FHP. I lose quite a few for FHP, but since this has occurred and all, we have to help retain some of the help, because they come for us for a couple of years and they go with FHP because they got higher salary and better insurance. So this helps retain my employees. It really helps a lot. Yes, and all the physically constrained counties. I don't know how it's prorated, but there's a prorated number so that's determined. That's like we're getting $794. I don't know how that's calculated, but that's how much Suwannee County would get to assist with salaries.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any questions, comments, concerns for the sheriff or anyone?
No, sir.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Mobley. Second by Commissioner White. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
And it's the sheriff's birthday today, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Y'all want to sing to the sheriff?
Lead it.
Happy birthday. It's Travis's too. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear sheriff. Happy birthday to you.
Thank y'all. Y'all got me turning red.
Well, it's better you than me.
Mr. Chairman, isn't it your birthday too?
It is.
All right.
And it's Shannon Roberts' birthday also.
Oh, happy birthday, Shannon.
Dang.
Man, good people were born on the 17th.
Well, that one song goes to everybody.
Yeah, that's for everybody.
All right, so back where we were at, I just wanted to knock that out in case you guys were waiting just for that one, y'all.
I'm actually here for the CEMP.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Where was that? Any other staff items? None. Commissioner items. Any commissioner items tonight? None that I was aware of. County attorney items. Number 17, discuss with possible board action the inclusion of contractual provisions in county contracts. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And with the chairman's approval, after we're done with this one, I've got two other matters.
You got talking to the mic, Mr. Morrison.
I've got two other matters to bring before the board. But to deal with this, Mr. Music with Music Construction is present today, and I thank him for being here. He had been awarded, he was the low bidder for a certain project. When preparing the contract for his company to execute, I included a provision in that contract, which I call a waiver of extra contractual damages. Mr. Music contacted me, had issues with it, and at present indicated they're not willing to sign the contract as written. So just by way of a little bit of, and he asked if I could go ahead and just remove it so that way they could sign it, which I just didn't feel that that was appropriate for me to do, that would be something more appropriate for the board to make that decision on. So hence I'm bringing it before the board for y'all to make that decision. So essentially you can see the language there in the agenda packet, and essentially just it's a limitation on damages. So anything that's outside the terms of the contract wouldn't be a permissible damage in the event we ended up with a lawsuit with the vendor. Since becoming county attorney, I have included this in basically every contract that I've prepared. As Holland can tell you, there was a period of time where they were getting after me to prepare a bunch of contracts. The reason it took a little while is I spent a long time putting together a master contract with terms and conditions that the counties would want, or the county would want, and compared that with other contracts that have been executed by the county in the past. I included in the agenda insert here some of the agreements that have been done since I've become county attorney. You'll see those 2024 agreement numbers, which include explicitly that term, as well as some older ones that I was able to find with a brief search on the our service that has all of our contracts listed. The other thing that I would just point out, because one of the questions was, has this term of a contract been part of contracts before I took over? I do know that when the prior county attorney was here, a very common practice of his was to include an insert, or for lack of a better phrase, an addendum to any contract that had been added or had been prepared by a third party. So just to make things smoother, it would be, you would just tell that vendor, your contract's fine, but add this addendum. And an exact copy of that addendum, because Mr. Prabat did a good job, so I'm not above taking what other people did as a good job, is attached as number 16 to the Madden Media contract. So that's an example of how that addendum was used. And again, I just took that from the work that Mr. Prabat had done. It also has that contractual provision, the limitation on extra contractual damages. So kind of what I wanted to get guidance from you all on is if we want to continue to insist on this being a term of contracts as I'm preparing them and moving forward. If we don't want to include them, I think we need to drop it from all of the contracts, because then it would be unfairly applied, depending on, it would open us up to extreme criticism on that end. So kind of that's where I'm at. I can answer any questions about the provision, what it does, how it works, and then Mr. Music is also present in case he wants to be heard as to that provision.
Any questions for Mr. Morrison? Mr. Music?
Well, obviously y'all have some information I'm not privy to, but that's okay. And Adam's not completely correct. I did not say we weren't willing to sign this. What I asked for was clarification of what it really means. And that's what I'd like to know. I mean, this language is in bold type. I mean, it's obviously, and it has a lot of wording in there. What I'd like to know from a layman's term is, okay, what exactly does this mean?
Sure. And when Mr. Music, when you spoke to me, if you'll recall, first thing I told you is I'm not your lawyer. I can't give you legal advice. But generally, it says that in the event that there's some kind of dispute between the vendor, the contractor, and the county, damages outside of what is called for in the contract, we're agreeing that's going to be the limitation of the damages. So, for example, just in theory, if, and I won't use you as an example, we're going to go into business with Commissioner Perkins. If Commissioner Perkins and I entered into a contract and he felt that the county did him wrong, we took too long in doing things, we didn't get him materials fast enough or what have you, and it cost him 2 or 3 more jobs that he couldn't get because he was waiting for us to do stuff. That would be a loss of profits. He couldn't pursue that lawsuit. He's agreeing that you're not going to be able to get that lawsuit. So what it does is it shuts down, and a lot of this would be waived by sovereign immunity anyway, or would be prevented by sovereign immunity. But it simply limits the liability of the county in the event of a dispute between any vendor and the county to what the contract calls for. So if for some reason Mr. Perkins entered into that agreement and everything went south, the max damages he could receive would be what's called for by the contract. So, and again, it has been a part of many contracts, but I just wanted some guidance from y'all of whether to continue to insist on it. One thing, and I do want to thank Mr. Music for bringing this to us, because I think it's a very fair criticism that he brought up, was that I hadn't included that contractual provision in the solicitation packets that had been going out, which is a very fair criticism. So I've met with Mr. Scott, thank you, my mind's going, it's been a long day, as well as Ms. Flanagan, and we went over some changes to the solicitation procedures, so that way prospectively, those standard terms and conditions are going to be part of any bid packet. So you know ahead of time, this is part of the deal. So I thought that was a very fair criticism, and we've changed our process to incorporate that.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Perkins.
So what I'm getting is that if it's something that happens between us and the contract, if I'm set back some days because something you failed to provide for me to continue on as the county, then I cannot come after you for the loss of time or loss of use that I lost for 3 days sitting there. It was no act of God, but it's because of you that couldn't get that done.
Correct. It's a limitation of, and again, I do know for a fact that other government entities incorporate this language, because as I told you guys when I hopped into this particular gig, I like to know what I don't know, and so I compare notes with surrounding counties. I know for a fact this is in water management contracts and other likewise things. And it's there candidly, and I'm not, it's there to protect the county. I mean, that's the purpose for putting it there.
So it's not as something may happen, when in the event something do happen, then it's going to protect the county.
Correct. And if something, and again, for very straightforward situations, it also, and again, here's, cutting to true brass tacks. Most of the time, most of these permutations of damages that would come up are going to be prevented already by sovereign immunity. That said, myself excluded, lawyers are smart people, and so when something goes south, there's arguments of waiver, all kinds of ways of trying to attack and say, no, we want more, and by including this as a contractual obligation, you can just say on the front end, like, none of that's going to work because you've agreed to it.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I think that's a question. Go ahead.
Commissioner White.
It doesn't change the anything else like change orders, any of that stuff, if he still wanted, as long as that's negotiated?
Yeah, none of that goes away. So if there was a change order, and in fact, one of them was on the consent agenda for today with the county and Mr. Music, which approved a change order with the change, like, that's all going to happen, continue as normal. It just prevents, again, the unknown claim for extra contractual damages. And I can't pretend to know what they would be, because there's all kind, that's why you put that in there. It's just to shut it down.
Well, I mean, Adam, give us any kind of an example. I mean, can you give us any kind of example in this type of contract? I mean, we're not providing material. I mean, from a county's, you're not providing materials to us. From a county's perspective, because, I mean, it says non-performance or breach of this agreement by the county, whether based in contract or in a whole lot of other things. It says based in contract. It doesn't say.
Right, but if you continue reading, it will be we'd absolutely be liable for contractual damages. So what's in the contract. What we wouldn't be liable for is indirect, incidental, consequential, special, exemplary, or punitive. So you get you get what's in the contract, but you don't get any of those permutations.
But that's, and Adam, you're correct in what it says up top, but that's not what it says. If breach of this agreement by county, whether based in contract, that's what it says. Well, I mean, if that means if you just breach the contract, you don't have to pay us, I mean, or anybody else. I mean, it's.
So what that means is if you're going to base it on if you're going to call it a breach of contract, you're not going to get those types of damages. Again, there's no permutation of this where we wouldn't be liable for what the contract says you're owed.
You would get paid the contract price.
You get paid for what was in the contract, but anything that happened outside the contract that the county wasn't responsible for.
And by saying that it's founded in breach of contract, that again goes to, again, yours excluded. Lawyers are smart people. You can call the same thing a violation of a contract. You can call it a tort. You can call it a whole bunch of stuff. And this just says, no matter how that alleged damage arose, either out of contract, tort, what have you, your damages are limited to what's in the contract. That's what this provision means. And so while, again, if we went into business with contractor Perkins over here, that's one hypothetical example. But as you're aware, it doesn't come up very often, and part of the reason it doesn't come up very often is in the situation where it does, this provision shuts it down. So, but I do know that surrounding counties use it. I do know that water management certainly uses it, and we've been using it. But I know that it has been.
Yeah.
Mr. Hale's got a question.
Mr. I just have a question. I mean, I'm no lawyer, and this stuff gets mumble jumbled on us, but I guess the way I take it, and Mr. Dennis was saying, put it in layman terms, so if he's working, doing a job, whatever, close to maybe an existing water pipe that we have, and he accidentally hits that with a backhoe or something and busts that pipe, you're saying that he's responsible for that, we're not, any other than, or if a road gets messed up in the process?
Well, remember, this is for outside of the contract stuff. So if he busted a pipe, that's different.
Yeah, that's business.
I think we agree on that. That's a whole other thing.
Sure, yeah.
But
so just sticking to the contract, to the job.
Yeah. So, but if he wants to sue based on the contract, but on the same token, like let's say one of our trucks hit one of his guys, this wouldn't affect that because it's not based upon special, consequential, or part of those damages.
Or if, say you had an outside third-party contractor working on the same site and he dug through what I've already installed, who's liable for it then? Or one of your own crews, say, because this job's at the water treatment plant, say one of the county crews comes to work on something at the water treatment plant, he dug through what I've already installed, now.
So there's permutations of that already happen. So for example, if you bid on a job and you start digging and it turns out that nobody foresaw it, but there's bedrock underneath it, and that's when you go to the county and say, guys, we got to change this. That happens all the time.
That's right.
And so under your permutation, if somebody had screwed the job up, you come back to Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott comes back to the commission and says, guys, we got to change this. One of our guys screwed it up. So, and again, I don't think you found at any point in time the county being unwilling to work with you. Again, look, as a lawyer, I deal in the hypothetical example of people acting in bad faith. It doesn't come up very often, but at the end of the day, it's my job to try to protect the county, and that's why I've been including it. So, and again, really what this is just about is guidance from you all if we want to continue to include it or if we want to drop it.
Well, let me make a couple more
Yes,
comments.
sir.
before you make that
Mr. Music, go
I
ahead.
mean, and Adam, you and I have already had that conversation. You just spoke through it as far as, guys, if this is, I'm not saying Adam's right or wrong as far as surrounding counties. What I can say is I've never seen this language in any county I've worked in so far in history, so far, never. Not in Suwannee, not in Hamilton, not in anybody I've ever been. So therefore, which, I mean, he acknowledged this, therefore, if you want to bring this language forth, because it is, I have no idea how this could ever affect us. I don't see the provision. That's why I kind of asked, give me an example. But like you just said, lawyers are very smart people. They'll take this language and beat you up over the head with it without you being knowledgeable at all. If you're going to do this, well and great and good. Put it in your bid specs, so therefore it's not a surprise, because it was not in our bid specs. We bid this job without this language in there, period. Do I think it's material? Do I think people with that language in there will go, okay, I'm taking a risk, and that risk is worth something? I absolutely do think that. Now, will this, Adam, is this strictly for contractor language, or are you putting this in engineers' contracts?
Every contract that comes across my desk of, can you draft this, it is included.
What I'm asking is, like Greg Bailey's contract, for instance, is it going to be in engineers' contracts, every other vendor's contracts, or this strictly for general contractors?
It's not strictly for general contractors. Being candid, there's a lot of contracts that happen. For example, there's one today that we'll get to, which is one that's coming from FEMA. That's a take it or leave it contract, right? We don't have that kind of authority. So in the circumstance where I have the ability to insert that on behalf of the county, I will, but I'm not going to pretend that we're on equal negotiating power with every single vendor we deal with. And that's why I included it in the agenda packet, is that it's, for example, like when Mr. Pravat had it, when you were dealing with those, all those other types of contracts, you would just hand them the addendum and say, sign, whatever your contract says, fine, so long as it includes these 10 things, including this. But I can't pretend, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that every contract's going to be written the exact same. That's not true, just because of the volume.
Be specific. Is it going to be in an engineer's contract?
If it comes across my desk, yes.
Be interesting.
And ultimately, and Mr. Music, you know your field much better than I do. If it turns out we insist on including this language and all of a sudden nobody's bidding on contracts, then we can come back and readdress it and say, guys, I was wrong. Let's do this. I'm wrong every minute I'm at home, so I'm fine being wrong up here too.
We all are down that road.
I feel the pain on that one.
Guys, and like I said, I don't know that I have what my heartburn level really, really is, because I came for clarification. What I would say is this, guys, was not in our bid spec. It is a change.
And that is a totally fair criticism, by the way.
And so therefore, if you want to include it going forward, great. We bid this job in January, and we've held this price since January. And we were $400,000 low from the next guy in January.
From what, not to interrupt you, go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
Mr. Chairman.
Do I have heartburn? I do. I just don't know at what level. I don't know.
I'm all for being fair, and I'm going to agree with Mr. Music that it's not. I understand his taking exception to it, and I completely understand and agree that it should have been part of the bid packet. We do have time, sticking to our current schedule, to just rebid it, and then that way you can make whatever adjustments you think are necessary. That way it's not from January, and that won't set us back on our time schedule. And I think that's the most equitable way to do it. And we can't get in trouble doing it that way.
I'm gonna let Mr. Music answer that question because the numbers are out there on the street now. So, but I think from what I'm hearing tonight, is this wasn't at all by no means directed specifically toward Mr. Music, and I don't think from what I've heard from you, Mr. Music would probably, or Music Construction would probably be the least of your concerns of this calls ever coming into it, because you are homegrown, been here forever. We know who we're doing business with here.
We've never been in a lawsuit in our life. We've been in business 50 plus years.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think hypothetically, I don't think this would ever hurt you, because it's never hurt you doing business in Suwannee County before. I would like for us to keep going, but if Mr. Music would like to rebid that, the numbers are on the street now. So I'm going to let you answer that question. That's totally up to you. If we have time to rebid it, I would pass that to Mr. Music to make that decision. I think Mr. Attorney here is just looking out for the liability of the county, and in your word, not your words, but tightening up the county's liability to people that we may not know who we're doing business with. That's what I'm hearing. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong.
No, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
I'll go with Commissioner Hale first and Commissioner Mobley.
Frank, Commissioner White kind of answered the question on what his question was, but in addition to that, I guess I'll ask Mr. Music, and I agree, if it wasn't in the bid process or in the packet, it should be moving forward.
100%.
Absolutely. I think the same thing you were just asking him, and I'm asking Mr. Music is, and I'm sure your attorney's looked at it, you've looked at it. Is that something that you, is it that big of a thing to rebid it or to just move forward with it? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And I agree with what you're saying, Commissioner Land, is numbers are out now.
Yeah, I mean, we've been through this before on other bids that are a lot less money that the people say, oh, wait a minute, don't rebid it, now everybody knows what we're doing.
Right.
And they don't want to do that, but I'm going to defer that to him.
I want to do, yeah.
But Mr. Mobley also has a question. If you want to wait, Mr. Music.
My example would be, didn't we do the prep work for the people that was coming to do the chip seal or whatever? Right. So that would be an example of we were preparing the lime rock or whatever for that, and we wasn't ready in time, and they was needing to do it. They couldn't come after us for not having done in time. That's what I'm thinking it sounds like to me. Be
Similar situation.
protecting us on that end.
But in the contract, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Morrison, but in the contract, hypothetically, if the date said county will have such base prepared on such and such road by September 30th, in that contract, they got there on September 30th and it was not done. I'm sure there were some damages.
Right, that would absolutely be a contractual damage.
We did not meet the date in the contract, so we would have to pay their mobilization fee or some damages.
But what they wouldn't be able to get is, let's say,
well, you cost me 3 other driveways. I was going to do some driveways. Now I didn't get to do those because I showed up here on the 30th and I missed this road project down here. I'm suing you for all of that stuff too. Now you owe me $1 million plus all this other stuff.
Mr. Chairman.
It limits the exposure, I guess. Yes, sir, Commissioner Perkins.
Normally, in a case like that, you would call and check before you show up on the job anyway to see if everything's ready to go. It's all about communication. And I think here that with Mr. Music there about here, is this a standard piece put in to support the welfare of the county? I don't think it's nothing that ever go after him, as he's been working so long, and it's highly unlikely that something's going to happen to cause any hurt to him. So I think it's just something to put in there that Adam put in for the safeguard for the county, but it's highly unlikely to happen.
Right. I would agree with that, but I mean, I'm going to let Mr. Music speak to that, but I agree with you, Commissioner Perkins. I don't think that, I think it's unlikely, but there again, as Commissioner Hale said, had it been into the bid specs prior to, maybe he would have bid a little differently, knowing that there may be some exposure there from him. What that exposure is, I don't really know, but there might be some. So
and that's the extent of it I don't really understand.
And I'm in the same exact boat, guys. I cannot think of a provision or a circumstance that this would apply, especially in this particular job. Now, there are jobs out there, just like you just mentioned. I can see jobs out there where this might come into play. I can't see it in this instance. It's just, y'all put it in big, bold, in-your-face print. You know, so I mean, I'm asking the question, okay, what does this big, bold, in-your-face print mean to me? That's what I'm asking.
Right.
And candidly, the reason for that is so that way when the lawyer who thinks it's like, I didn't know that was in there, I'm going to be like, come on, man.
Yeah, no question.
You see it, no question.
All I want to know is what does this mean to us? That's all I want to know.
Did he answer? What do you want? I mean, I'm not gonna put you on the spot tonight. Do you want to think about it a day or two and let Mr. Scott know if you want to rebid it, or you say no? I think I'm gonna take my chances. I got a long reputation here, and I've done business in Suwannee County for years and years. I've never been in a lawsuit. I'm gonna roll with it this time and cross my fingers. Or no, let me think about it a few days. Let me think about it a few days, and I'll get back with y'all on what I want to bid.
I don't think there's any doubt that we're going to sign this contract. I mean, may I get some legal advice? I may. But I don't think there's any doubt we're going to sign this contract.
It's totally up to you.
You know, I'm just curious what this means.
I totally
when do we
get
need to know if
Very
we're going to
valid.
need to rebid it?
In the week.
So would that be all right, Mr. Music?
What's that?
I'm just trying to make our timeline so that way if you do want to, if we do need to rebid it, can you let us know by the end of the week? That'll give us enough time.
Sure. I mean, the reality is if this language hadn't been in there, this contract been signed, I'd have been at work because I'm working right across the fence from it right now, and I was planning to be clearing already this week.
Yes, sir.
The only reason I'm not already at work, tell me what this means.
Well, I don't think there's any board member up here that would ever want to do any harm to Music Construction, who's been a great partner for Suwannee County for years and years and years. So I don't think there was, I know you know that there was no intent there on our behalf. Or his.
And that's likewise. I mean, you know, we're certainly not in the business of suing the county.
Right. But we definitely want you to be, and whoever moving forward is aware of this and comfortable with this.
Yeah, and he said it would start, going forward, it will be in bid specs.
And that's my whole point, guys. I mean, don't insert it in the contract stage, put it in the bid spec, so then everybody can decide, well, I know that.
Agreed. Or this may fall on me, so I need to account for a little bit of that if some of this does fall on me.
Sure.
Equipment not showing up on time or whatever it is. Okay, fair enough.
Mr. Chairman.
End of the week, will you get with those guys and work that out? Yes, sir. Commissioner Perkins.
I kind of hate to see Mr. Musical have been working hard for this county.
100%.
To leave here and not be satisfied with, get a solid answer. I mean, certainly we ought to be the answer to get so you can get on back to work. Or do you want to just sit down and talk with Adam to maybe get this squashed out?
Well, that was the issue because Mr. Music and I talked about it. Here's the fact of the matter, and I'm just going to brass tacks. I included it. I'm not going to remove it from a contract because here's what's going to happen. The first time Adam Morrison says, fine, don't worry about it, that's the guy who's going to sue us, all right? And then that's going to be me out. So the decision as to whether or not to include this provision needs to come from y'all. And my point is that if you do it for one, you got to do it for everybody. So I just want some guidance from y'all.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
excuse me.
I'll go with Commissioner Perkins first and Mobley.
Here's a quick.
Wait a second.
Can we do this here then to resolve this issue?
Yeah, there.
I mean, he's been here all his life here working. Since we didn't put it into the bid packet, can we absent this in this contract and then start afresh on the new contract by putting it into the bid packet since it wasn't in the bid packet? Would it be fair to him?
Yeah, I think your problem is going to be on that one, and I'm going to let the lawyer talk to that, is that he's got what he said earlier, and this is what I heard, what he said earlier, and I'm trying to find the names. There's a list of contracts here that other people have signed with that in there, and they're going to come to the county and say, hey, wait a minute, I want that taken out of mine too. So, but I'm going to let him talk to that.
But I mean,
I'm not a...
Yeah, what I'm asking is that Adam, is that I know...
Ask him.
At this bid pack that he bidded on, did not have it in the packet.
Right.
So now the contract has it in the contract. But others have not, their contract did not have the same example he's having here. So if we can do now with him, just what Mr. Music is, if we extract that out of this contract.
I thought that it did, though. Was I wrong? I thought that...
The other contract that we had, we didn't have another contract, did we?
No, it's been in lots of contracts.
Yeah, this isn't the first time.
This is
That's where I was.
Okay, well, so the problem came with that we omitted putting it into the bid
He
packet.
put it into the bid packet so he could read the contract prior to bidding on it. So now that he's bid it, he's realized, tell me if I'm wrong. You realize that there's- Yeah, the contract wasn't in there with that. So not just him, any other bidder wasn't able to review the contract at the time they were bidding on it. The contract was presenting after the bid was awarded. Then he saw that. As is, any bidder would have seen it. Like, oh, wait, what's this about? I might want to change my number a little bit.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, in terms of remedy, I would strongly urge the board to not just omit this one of including that language. It's going to open, if you want to rebid it, that's fine. If you want to insist, or if you want to take it out completely, you're not hurting my feelings. We just do it for everybody. But doing special, that's how bad things, that's how people get in trouble.
Do you see it as an issue? I mean, really?
That's my main thing. If you're okay with this, I mean, I think we should move forward. Absolutely putting it in.
Guys,
there.
I wouldn't say that I'm okay with it. Frankly, I don't know. I mean, Don, I don't. I'll admit that I'm awfully friends with attorneys in town, like everybody else is.
I'm going to get to you.
And their advice to me is say, do not sign this. Now, I can't picture an occasion where this affects me. I really don't. But I don't mind telling you that the advice I've been given is this, no. So.
Well, I'm gonna just say what was on my mind, and I'm with Adam. It's already there. The only option we've got now, I think, as a remedy, is to rebid it, or sign it as is. I mean, that's because otherwise it goes back further than what we're dealing with here.
I get it.
That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I found the page. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other contracts that are just listed here that have that clause in it that have signed it. So if we take one out, like, whoa, you made a special exception, guys. That's not, now I don't know what happens then, but I totally see Mr. Music's point and event that, and as Adam acknowledged, fair criticism, that needs to be in there in the bid specs when bidding it so that any bidder, contractor in this case, can see what the county's contract is going to look like at the time they're bidding it. So if they need to increase their bid to account for something that might or might not happen, they can do so at the time prior to submitting their bid.
That's what I was just thinking because it was not in the bid packet. That's why I only spoke to that, is to maybe remove it for that purpose. And then move forward to continue.
I think if you do that, that's where the special, wait a minute, you're giving Mr. Music Construction, not Mr. Music Construction, that bidder, you're giving them special treatment. Now you got to go back and readdress these other
Now you really might get sued.
So anyway, I think Mr. Music, a week, could you get with these guys by the end of the week and decide if you want to rebid it or not, and then we'll go a different route. Is that fair?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just so that way it's handled provisionally, we would need board action to authorize them to rebid the job if that's what Mr. Music elects to do. So.
Okay, so in the form of a motion, should Mr. Music, and restate this if I state it incorrectly, Mr. Morrison, should Mr. Music by the end of this week, which is September the what?
17th here, the end of the week.
20th. By September 20th, should Mr. Music elect to not sign and rebid, the board authorizes staff to rebid whatever bid packet that was. I don't know.
So moved.
With language in.
With the proposed contract in the bid specs.
So moved, what you said.
Motion by Commissioner Perkins. Second by Commissioner White. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. So should Mr. Music elect not to sign it, we rebid it. Staff, y'all now have approval to re-advertise and put it back out to bid without having to wait another 2 weeks for another meeting. Fair enough, Mr. Music. Thank you for coming. We appreciate that. We certainly don't want to slow up progress in Suwannee County. You've been a great partner in growing our infrastructure.
We had somebody else wanted to talk.
Hopefully that continues.
He wanted to talk.
Are you good? I did, but we got sidetracked and I missed him. You still want to speak? You're welcome. You're welcome, sir.
Richard Snyder, 29th Road, Brantford, Florida. My gut was saying pull it, but a couple of comments you guys made, it led to the question of how many bids are out there right now going on, that this would put them in jeopardy, because then all of a sudden people would be like, hey, wait a minute, you set a precedence, we shouldn't have that in there. But I think having it added is going to be really helpful for the different contractors, the people that are making those bids. But yeah, think about how many are out there waiting to hit you. Somebody's already signed the contract. Sorry, it was your choice to sign the contract without asking about it. But yeah, that was.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole board hates that this situation has occurred, but we're grateful for music for bringing it up, saying, hey, this can be fixed if y'all put this in the bid specs. This won't happen again. So thank you, Mr. Music.
If I could bring a couple other matters before the board here.
Oh, you got more? It's not on the list.
No, it's not. This all came up fairly recently. There's an agreement that's been proposed between the Department of Homeland Security and the county for information sharing relating for FEMA purposes. It was done for Mr. Scott's signature. After I looked at it, I believe it needs board action to approve, but essentially it's just an agreement between Department of Homeland Security and FEMA and Suwannee County for information sharing, and it authorizes Mr. Scott to execute the contract regarding data tracking, that sort of thing.
So what are we sharing?
Yeah, what are they tracking?
So, Mr. Scott, you may know the details of the contract better than me, but purposes letter is to document safeguarding requirements and information sharing regarding floodplain management, disaster recovery, a bunch of acronyms that I don't know what they mean, update flood mitigation plans, applying for grants, conducting floodplain management, disaster recovery. It's just allowing information back and forth.
Fair enough. I think that's probably all somewhat tied to Storm and FEMA being here.
Correct. Mr. Bowles.
Chairman, I can very briefly just say all this is a formality. So FEMA comes into our county and they are represented by different groups that are going door to door talking to people about individual assistance, floodplain management, flood zones, all of that. They collect this information, but they cannot tell us at the EOC who these people are, their address, what their circumstances are, do they need benefits, do they need help. So we have to figure out, kind of by guess, where they were that day, go back out there and start the process all over again. That's the federal government for you. This form stops that. So all these groups that are going out there forward for FEMA who collect this information can now simply every day give us a simple report to tell us who these houses are. So for example, the gentleman that we found 3 weeks after the storm hit still had 6 feet of water in his house, and we had no idea about that because FEMA didn't tell us, because they're not allowed by law to tell us. So it's a life safety issue. It's just a standard practice and standard operating procedure issue, but that's something that FEMA requires. So we would be grateful if you would allow them to sign and execute it.
And it would be, since it was made out for Mr. Scott, it would be to authorize Mr. Scott to sign it on behalf of the county.
Fair enough. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Morrison in regards to that?
No, I appreciate the clarity.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You get a trophy tonight, Commissioner White. The rest of these guys,
I get first place.
They need a Red Bull or something.
I was over here finishing my notes on that so I don't lose it, but I'll second
You
that.
drew my face.
No, that looks way better than your
So I have a motion by Commissioner White, a second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
One last thing, Mr. Chairman, and this is just asking for guidance. So Ms. Vanderberg has sued the county again. So just to give a little bit of procedural background for everybody, this is relating to the RV parks and people being upset with the approval of the DePrater RV park that was done out in the Dowling Park area. As y'all are aware, we were sued once. That was dismissed. After that, there was a lawyer hired who I've conversed with and shared information with. I didn't hear anything again. And then there's also been ethics complaints and bar complaints, which have all been summarily dismissed. But earlier last week, I got served with a lawsuit which is about 3 inches thick. The basics of the lawsuit are that the Lake City Reporter is not a newspaper of general circulation, which I don't think has much merit. And that the second one is that having that initial hearing at the on a regularly scheduled meeting was done with lack of notice, which I also don't think has a whole lot of merit. as I told you guys when I took this job, before I was county attorney, I'm a litigator. That's what I do. And so this is going to take time for me to respond to this and to handle the county's business. Candidly, I'm not concerned about the eventual outcome. But my question for the board and where I wanted guidance is, we're well past fourth time's the charm. So when we got sued last time, I didn't move for attorney's fees. I didn't take any of kind of the aggressive actions I could take when somebody sues us without any merit to the lawsuit. I want guidance from you all, since Ms. Vanderburg is a constituent and a resident of the county. I can be very aggressive in trying to seek attorney's fees and other remedies from the county having to pay me to defend this particular lawsuit. But I need to know that at the outset of the litigation, not on the back end. So I was looking for some guidance for you guys. Again, the litigator in me is all for it because it's an adversarial system, but she's a resident of the county and she's one of y'all's constituents, so I didn't want to do that without getting some guidance from you all. I'm not saying that I'll be successful in getting it. I need to know on the front end if I can adopt that posture in the litigation.
Is this case represented by an attorney, or is this?
She's suing, no, her attorney wouldn't represent her on it. She's doing it by herself again.
And this will be the second case she's filed?
This will be the second lawsuit, the fourth complaint version. All on the same thing.
Can I make a motion?
The first three have been, the ethics complaints were dismissed, the bar complaint was dismissed, and the first case was dismissed.
Both lawsuits were dismissed.
Both lawsuits.
Right, so this is number 4 or 5, depending on how you count.
So how many times does, I'm sorry if I'm getting ahead of you guys, how many times does Florida statute allow for a person per se to sue a municipality? Is it indefinitely?
Well, she can keep making it. I mean, I'm trying not to be dismissive of it. I'm not terrible. Like I said, I'm not concerned about the results. There's no limit to the amount of times you can continue to sue. It's just you can start to take punitive. There's penalties for doing so if it becomes vexatious or of no merit. And quite frankly, that's the position I want to take in the litigation. But I don't want to do that.
Well, I think everybody in this room is looking at me because that RV park's in my district, and she has been after me, and this entire board.
It's just I just didn't think it was necessarily fair to the county, because the county's going to have to pay me for doing it.
Well, yeah, to be fair to the taxpayers that live in Welborn or Brantford or the Boys Ranch, I mean, we're spending taxpayer dollars paying you to defend a woman who continually sues us and has lost and sues again and lost. And at some point, I think it's unfair to the taxpayers that are contributing to our budget, whether they live in Welborn or Lurville or Brantford, or I'm not leaving, or City of Live Oak, wherever, to have to pay you funds for one person that just keeps on suing us. At what point does the county say, all right, we've about had enough of lawsuits, paying our taxpayer dollars to defend these lawsuits that keep getting thrown out on the same exact matter, just worded differently? So, board,
Commissioner Motion. Is it a motion? You need a motion?
I don't need a motion. I just need guidance from you all, if you guys are okay generally.
I would definitely do it. She's a constituent of the chairman, not mine.
Well, there you go.
I mean, Mr. Chairman, I hear the question, and you made the statement, and we've got folks from our all areas here tonight. I mean, maybe someone would like to speak this, or maybe you don't want to go on the record. I get it, but I just don't think it's fair that Adam has to continue to do this. It is what we've hired him to do. Don't get me wrong, it is, but it's not every day doing business for the county.
I mean, after 3 attempts and the courts and the ethics and the Florida bar says, there's no merit here, we're dismissing this, and then we get another one, and you get another one, and you get when it's like.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm going to let this gentleman speak. I've shortchanged him last time and put him all the way at the end. So,
Commissioner Hales wanted to know what we think about it out here. So, I hope somebody else comes up behind me, because otherwise I'm the only guy here.
Hey.
Richard Snyder, 29th Road, Brantford again. Hate lawyers, not you personally, but lawyers in general, because there's so many of them. But I do think there's a point from our perspective as people that live in the county, that spending that type of money chasing the thing over and over again, I think you've got to have the ability to be just as aggressive backwards, or back onto that person. Maybe not in the beginning, but when it's the third, fourth time of the same, basically tried effort that's not winning, you have to kind of call it quits and put that person in their place and say, look, we appreciate you didn't like the decision. You're not going to like every decision the board makes, but you've got to stop this. So I think you guys have got to have the ability for the attorney to be able to make those efforts and know that the people out here, we don't necessarily like it all the time, but we do understand it because we live in this and we live in the same environment you all do. We just don't do the same job you do. So just from my perspective, I think I can speak for a couple of people that we think that you have to get aggressive now and then. Not in the beginning. We have to be patient and gracious.
Everyone deserves the opportunity to be heard.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Hancock, name and address for the record, please, sir.
Bo Hancock, 6135 Wiggins Road. I'm not real sure where Adam's coming from is whether he wants to go after it as aggressively or not. At some point, he was hired to defend and represent the county in legal matters. This is going to be one. This is a one. Her chances of winning are slim and slimmer. She's eating the gummy bears. And she doesn't stand a chance, I don't think, at all. I don't know if Adam's saying how hard he wants to go after her, or he just wants to make sure he gets paid, or I'm not real sure.
Clarify me, Mr. Morrison. I think what Adam's saying is like, hey, after the 3-4 lawsuits now, are y'all okay? Is the board okay with me basically I'm assuming, filing suit against, if she loses, saying, all right, now you're going to pay us back our attorney fees, these taxpayer dollars that I've had to build the county to fight this case again, because
that's the only way you're going to stop it.
It's 3 inches thick, so we're paying him. He is on retainer, plus he bills us an hourly rate. So if he spends 14 hours at 200, your contract's public record, what?
$203 right now or
so
something like that.
$203 an hour, and he spends 20 hours doing it. That's taxpayer dollars that we're paying him on the third or fourth. So I think what he's saying is like, and she loses again. All right, now we're going to sue you for $4,000.
So
whatever the money is.
Don't sue me.
No, just
hypothetical.
The reason I'm asking, and the reason I need to know at the outset is because. And again, you may not recall this, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Scott may not, but when we got sued the first time, I asked you guys privately I can defend it, or do you want me, I can be nasty and say, and pay us attorney's fees and all those other things, and we understood that how upset everybody was in the aftermath of how that went, and we opted to not do that. It was simply, I defended it, got it dismissed, and ideally we're done. Mm-hmm. Now that we're not, I have to know on the front end of the litigation, because I have to put that in the pleadings that says, hey, this is why I think it doesn't have any merit. Here's the statute and such that allows me entitlement to attorney's fees. If you don't put that in the beginning, you don't get them at all. So that's why I need to know at the outset.
Mm-hmm. And for the record, this was not my idea, right?
No.
Okay. It's not my idea to do this, but it's on the table now.
He didn't know I was bringing it up.
I did not.
Let him go back and file in the pleadings that he wants to reimburse the county. It's not fair to the taxpayer. Everybody's aware of that. I sympathize with the woman. She's wrong. She didn't do her due diligence. The sign was there. You saw it. It wasn't much of a sign, but it was a sign, and it had been used for years in this county. It was advertised. Everything was done properly. It's got to stop, and the only way it's going to stop is he's going to have to go in there, and here's, in his pleadings, everything is there. He wants attorney fees, everything, and it might stop her.
And I'm not saying I'll get it, because the judge will ultimately have that say, but I just need to know if I can ask.
Fair enough. Mr. Klepper, name and address.
Moses Klepper, 14581 102nd Path. Hope somebody was going to say this. Mediation, I recommended that way back for the first lawsuit. I don't know what y'all are limited, or you're limited to.
No, it's a good question. The problem is, is the remedy, because what they want is for us to undo that quasi-judicial passing of it. We can't. Like, that's what we went through. So there's nothing to mediate.
I fully get that, but Mr. Prater, she's a long time in the county as well, her family and all. I don't think she intentionally, I don't know the lady, never met her, probably never will. But I mean, any good citizen would at least be willing to sit down to mediation, and let's see if there's some sort of resolution. I mean, some of these people, especially the single grandmother that's raising 2 kids right there on the corner, I would move. I could afford to move. That lady doesn't sound like she can. I looked into a little bit. She probably can't afford to move. Mr. Prater might want that piece of property. All right, there might be one resolution come out of it for that immediate lady. Now, there's a street between everybody else that's concerned. I don't know what the solution there is, but mediation, sometimes you get, rational people sitting down talking things out. Maybe that's one, and then, I'm with Mr. Hancock. Otherwise, the harassment and all, the county don't need it. We don't need to spend the money. And so go with that, but please, consider that, and again, all y'all figure out how that might work, but rational, reasonable people, so I think you got it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Perkins.
It seemed like it is. I know that we had a whole lot of people came in during that time, was upset, but it seemed to me now it's only just the one lady that's having this issue. And, she came in saying that she has sued and she will sue. So she's been aggressively trying to sue. So the only way to be able to stop it or to do something, I think, is that too, to go ahead and allow Adam to go ahead and pursue to get refunded. We're about to sue for the attorney fees.
I agree. I agree with you and Commissioner Mobley. At some point, you have to say, all right, this is getting to be a little bit much. This is unfair to the taxpayer, and at some point, we're not being fiscally responsible to the rest of them, because we have one person who keeps suing the county on the same issue and keeps losing, and we're frivolously spending attorney fees to defend ourselves on something that's already been dismissed multiple times. So I'm in support of Mr. Morrison stating that in his whatever, in his case, and we can hold up for 1 second. Commissioner White, be right back. You said, but no, I agree with you. At some point, you got to say, all right, enough. We beat this horse to death.
Yeah.
I don't need board action, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to float it by you guys and see what you thought.
White's good.
You're good. Yes.
All right, thank you.
You got all 5 consensus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Okay. That was county attorney items. Any consultants present tonight wishing to speak? Any consultants? Seeing none. General business. Item number 18. Discuss with possible board action the purchase of real property located at 4468 US 129 North, Live Oak, Florida, for a future fire station. Chief Dan Miller. Welcome, Chief.
Hello. Good evening. Got a quick little presentation to give you all. I gotta get some water. You guys can see that one? Okay, so I've been here for 2 months and 2 days now, and even the one meeting I came to before I even started, I had somebody come up to me and go, all right, so we're going to build Fire Station 6 now, right? You're going to build Station 6? So I've been hearing about this North Station for a long time, for my 2 months. So I've spent the last 2 months researching it, driving, looking at all the different properties. There was some history with it. So I'm just going to go through this PowerPoint and run through some ideas and some history for you. So originally, we purchased some property back in 2019, just north of 6212 Highway 129. It's 11 acres. I think you guys remember that. It kind of sits back off of the property. From what I found out, it needed like some extreme site work, some development in order to move forward with that. So that idea was kind of put on hold. Then back January of 2024, the Live Oak Sanctuary was a possibility. There were some contracts with buying the old church up there and turning it into a fire station. That was on 5 acres. That was directly on Highway 129. That didn't need any site work. Like I said, it was a pre-existing building, concrete block, possible for remodel. And then in August of 24, we bought Project Summit property, just over 350 acres. The closest site, the closest area of that property, which we could put a station on, is about a half a mile off of 129 on the northeast corner. That'll need the trees harvested and then some site work to move forward with that project if we build there. The funding for Station 6, we have $1.5 million in the budget. That came about in 2020. The county received the $750,000 state appropriation. And then I actually spent last week with the state appropriation grant administrator, and she advised me that we only have about 9 months left, or they're going to end up taking that money back, that $750,000. So we have to like June 2025. Additional $750,000 the county put into that from the CARES money y'all received back in a few years ago. That got us our grand total of the 1.5. I just want to point out that $1.5 million is zero Suwannee County taxpayer dollars. It's all federal funds or state funds. So, option 1, we go back to the original property that we built or that we bought, the 11 acres. Like I said, the extensive site work. I've heard talks of it around $700,000. Somebody was telling me that it would take to improve that site. If we do that, then fire rescue will need to spend $1.8 to $2 million on construction of the new red iron building. And that construction is going to be a piggyback of Dixie County Fire Station they're building right now. So the engineering's already done, the plans are already done. I know exactly, they're paying roughly $250 a square foot. And so the estimate is pretty close. That brings the total of that site at 2.7 million. And like I said, we only have the 1.5. So if we want to go there, I'm going to need, the board will have to take about another $1.2 million out of general fund to finish the contract, to finish that project if we build on that site. Option 2, we can build on the Project Summit property. And on the map, I highlighted the northeast corner of that property. You guys can see in the pink. That is the closest piece to 129. And like I said, the drive out down to 129 is just under a half a mile. Again, I request the county just cut off that 5 acres for fire rescue to build on. Once we do the site work and the plans, we're about $500,000 in on that. And then fire rescue again, we'll build the $1.8 to $2 million station. We're all in there, 2.5 million. I'll only need maybe 800,000 to $1 million out of the general fund to finish the station build there. And then the option 3 is going back to considering purchasing the Live Oak Sanctuary and then remodeling that to a fire station. The $545,000 plus closing costs that was in the contract. Add a metal building for apparatus. I have reached out to a couple of people. I got a drawings engineering on a metal building project. Bay doors, lighting, electrical, concrete work. Where he's, 250 would be a good safe bet for that. Remodel the inside and the outside for another 200,000. Add a station generator, furniture, silverware, some miscellaneous expenses we're going to come up with, and earmark another 100,000 for that. All in, we're at that 1.2 million. And that would allow, since we have the 1.5, that would allow any unspent money to be moved over to the McAlpin fire station line that's in the budget. So we can make improvements there and build a new station there. And that would require no extra money from the board. So a little bit of additional information. We talked about this on the ones of you that I rode with up there. Most calls in that area, that 129 thoroughfare is the main road. You got to be on 129. You're going north. You're making your lefts, your rights to wherever the call loads are, or south. Option 1 If we build the station on that back of that property, it's almost a quarter mile drive out to 129 to make your north turn or your south turn. The option 2, your drive out to 129 is about a half mile. Again, option 3 sits directly on the 129, so it makes it a little bit better. I did find out when talking to the grant lady that back in January, when the previous administration was working on the Live Oak Sanctuary, the county submitted a change to the state for the appropriation to go from build a new station to buy a building and remodel. So if we want to go back to build a new station, I just have to send a change into them to have it change back to where we're going to build a new station from scratch. Any questions so far for me? I'm kind of just looking for movement forward. Like I said, I feel like I'm new to this. I've just been here 2 months, and it's been on the back burner for a while. It seems like, and I would hate to lose that money. We have this opportunity, and I think we need it.
So where are we at on the purchase of the church?
That's what I'm here to ask. That's the sanctuary. The Live Oak Sanctuary is that church.
I know, yeah, but refresh my memory. Well, you wasn't here, but
okay. I'll try. I'm pretty good.
We've been back and forth on this a few times. So, is the price changed?
I have got it back to that original 545 that you guys first started with. The way that contract was written.
545 plus the realtor fees,
plus
which are 16,000 some odd dollars. So you're looking at around 560 something for a purchase price.
And they had went way up, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, but what did they go up to? They added at one time another 100,000 or something crazy to it.
I believe it was like 750. It was
something crazy, yeah.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, I'm good if we're back to the same deal we had to start with.
Yeah, they went up to almost $750,000, but he's got them back down to the original price that we had discussed.
But remind me, Mr. Attorney, that was above the appraisal price.
Correct. So what had happened before, Mr. Chairman, this is back when you were the chairman, I believe, or it may have been in early January.
It was me.
It was we had originally said okay to the 545 price because the advertised prices ranged on this piece from $750,000 to like 1.1. We got down to the 545 plus some other stuff, like i.e. realtor fees. There's also going to be other fees like title insurance, et cetera. So just make sure we're planning those closing costs in too. But anyhow, we went out and we got the appraisal, and the appraisal came back. I don't have the exact number, but I want to say it was 300 something.
340, I have it right here.
Okay. So, you know, she wanted an additional 200,000 above the appraisal price. And so where we were at back then is you guys had said, you know, we can't justify spending $200,000 more, especially when it was noted at the time, then the point that was made to me is she had just bought that property for like 200-something thousand at a fire sale, pun intended. So that's where we were at. It hasn't gotten anywhere. And then our new fire chief, in trying to move the project forward, has spoken with them again and just trying to get some guidance from you guys. But that was the issue then, and it's still the issue now. So they haven't backed off the price when we initially rejected it.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner, well, let's go with him and then you. Mr. Scott.
Adam was involved with the appraisal, and you know, there's some oddities about the appraisal because of the zoning of that space, and the appraisal was based on churches, if I understand them right.
There was some, so, you know, we got the appraisal from Mr. Moses over there at Candler in Lake City. They've got the requisite certifications to do all that, Chase Moses. There was some, after the appraisal came back, because there was dissatisfaction with some methodology, and there was discussions with the appraisal to ask him to readdress that in light of those concerns. Those concerns were addressed with the appraisal by both me, some realtors on behalf of the county, as well as Chief Hand at the time. And I guess to his credit, he said, the appraisal is what the appraisal is, and he wasn't willing to budge off of it. But I wasn't going to second guess the appraisal as to what he does and how he operates.
Mr. Carter, you good? Mr. Haneke.
Because I have them all. I'll give you the same thing back in April.
Thanks, sir. Huh?
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
You're correct, Mr. Morrison. It was 364 was the appraisal.
Can you use the microphone just because it works?
You're correct. The appraisal was 364. I think the key to this whole piece of the puzzle is, although the appraisal is high, and actually on January 2nd, Mr. Scott advised you that the appraiser was having difficulty because there are no other churches with property for sale in the area. So he was having trouble trying to get to a true appraisal. So just food for thought. But irregardless, sometimes we pay more for something that we really need than we want to. But this site will save you $775,000 over buying a piece of property, or somebody gave you a piece of property. It's still going to cost you $2 million to build a building. So you're in a hole by that much. You'll see my remark there. You've already set the precedent. We bought property by the rodeo in Brantford over their appraised value. Not as much, but we have set that precedent by purchasing a piece of property that's over the appraised value. We didn't have a use for that property for the rodeo, but we bought it. You have a real use for this property, and I really think it's time to stop. We've been messing with this for 4.5 years and haven't made a decision yet. And you're going to be in jeopardy of losing that grant on June 30th of next year. Hopefully these numbers help you and jog your memory, but I really think this site is the site for our North Station. We don't have much help from the city. Yes, we have an agreement with them, but it's very limited. And they don't have any paramedics. So anybody that needs a paramedic, if he's stuck on this side of the railroad tracks, he's not getting there in time for a person who needs help. That's pretty much it. The old guy does kind of remember all the details of how this came about, but I really think it is the right spot. And obviously the chief has done a lot of homework to prove that to you. Your decision is, do we buy something over what the appraised value is? That's really the decision. But that's all I have. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mr. Clever, name and address for the record, please, sir.
Moses Clever, 14581 102nd Path, Live Oak. First thing, railroad track ain't an issue because the city and the county got the reciprocity thing going on, so that's not an issue. Now, a few miles there, but we just paid $5.5 million, $14,000 an acre from some Chinese nationals for 390 acres out there. I think we could spare 5, 10, 15, 100 acres for a fire station. And the figures that I'm hearing are incorrect according to my math and my research. On the square footage, the church out there, or the sanctuary, is 4,733 square feet. The 1.2 to $1.4 million that the chief is quoting for the cost, let's just go with an average of 1.3 at $250 a square foot. All right, that would make. Sorry, I got my notes here. The $1.2 million for the entire project for that. All right, now that's 7,800 square feet that he's quoting that amount on. If you built it, I don't know what's needed, but assuming that the 4,700 is adequate, I don't see us going and purchasing. Or quoting a new building that can be built out exactly like y'all want, or the chief wants, for much less money, 1.1. And if you go with that building, according to all these are the chief's numbers. Here's my notes on that. If we go with, he's right that we have 1.5 million to go with, and including the 750,000. All right. And then down, he says the red iron building on average would be 1.3 million. All right, well that leaves $200,000. All right, if we build it on the newly acquired property that's only 2.5 miles away from the sanctuary. The sanctuary, one of the negatives is it's too far north. It's only 2.5 miles, but if we're going to split hairs over the distance, and the good location, actually closer to Live Oak is better than further away. You're closer to 10. You could cut through the next road up to the left to go over to Stagecoach. But again, if you do the math on that, on a 4,700 square foot building, not a 7,600 square foot that the chief has quoted y'all on, okay? We're not doing apples to apples here, guys. It's concerning. I wonder what's that all about. Do the math, please, before y'all decide on this, because the absolute best for the county, if we go with that sanctuary, I've heard that we're not going to be out anything. All right, that's not true. By the math that's provided on this sheet, all right, I copied it from the pamphlet, or the package, will be $361,350 short that the taxpayer is going to have to pay if we do that sanctuary property. If we go with a brand new building on the Chinese property that we paid too much for, then we will have a $200,000 extra money left over. All right, building it out. According to his notes, I believe if we did the right procurement, we wouldn't have to pay $250. I found where red iron buildings on average are anywhere from $23 to $43 with the slab, 20 foot high. You know, now the build out would be more, and everybody knows nobody's wanting to work nowadays, and everybody's getting big money for everything they do. But still, we're long ways from $250 a square foot, and everything that I'm saying will be verified. And again, we're comparing a 4,700 square foot building, all right, that they're wanting an extra $300,000 for, to a 7,600 square foot building that the chief is comparing prices to. All right, so there's 3,000 square foot extra that we're paying for, or we're comparing to, and it's not accurate, guys. Y'all being
3,750 square feet. You're forgetting to build the bay. We're not going to put the trucks. You forgot to add the 3,000 square foot red iron bay to your 4,700 square foot building. Do that math.
I didn't see that in there.
I know. Try it.
Wait, it's not in here.
Oh, it's right there.
$250,000 for a building.
I didn't see that. That's to Tim. I'm not Tim. I should have access to that. I don't know. I just know, okay, let's go. So let's say he needs the 7,600 square foot. All right. If we do that, Well, I had to go back and refigure them. No, here we go. We're talking 326,000 for the shell, all right? For the shell. That's what that would cost us, not 1.8 million. I tell you, these figures need to be run over. The best deal that I could see going over and over this is building right there on the property we just purchased from scratch. We won't have to go in there and remodel. We won't have to overpay again. I mean, $300,000 worth than what it's worth. And we'd be closer to Live Oak, closer to 10. All right. The main ones that I see would benefit are the people right on the county line up north, you know. It 2.5 miles closer to where most of the calls are going to be. I don't know why anybody would want to buy that when we got all that land. So please consider it.
Board?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'd like to speak to it just a little bit. You guys know where I'm at with this. I mean, I've been working on this for years now, and unfortunately, we have come down to kind of the crunch time, if you will. And I don't want to pay nobody more than what the appraised value is. I mean, we've done it. Have we done it in instances? Absolutely. Have we done it in a position like this where it's something that's going to save lives and serve our county? And you know, as Mr. Moses said, being a little bit more to the north, to me, I see us being able to handle Corbettville and back towards White Springs quicker. I see us being able to get to the Catalyst site maybe quicker.
That's exactly what goes into picking where fire stations. We
Right.
don't need to be anywhere closer to the city. The city
Right.
has their own fire department. It's not our job to protect that
So
city.
there's other communities
It's
that
the community
will
of
be served
Suwannee
by
that we
this,
have-
this
yes.
station. And I get it, guys. I mean, listen, we've all bought trucks and cars and turned them and tried to make a profit on them. I mean, that's the name of the game. She was at 500,000, she went to 750,000, now she's back to the 500,000. Yes, it is over the fact, but if the numbers we're being presented are right, I mean, you're saying you can do it with the money we have allotted for this fire station.
Yes, sir.
And I hate it. I don't want to pay more. And again, I'd love to hear more input from our community here. I mean, that's just the full disclosure, folks, is he can get it done with money we have, or we're going to have to come up with more money out of general revenue, or we're just going to get the money back to the state and not have a fire station.
That's
Just
true.
that simple. That's your three options. Unless somebody's got something different to add to that, I don't know, but the chief's kind of laid it out. I know he talked to me. I'm sure he's talked to all of y'all, but I think if he can get it done for the money, we need to move on. If it's the right place, if you feel wholeheartedly, and again,
Of all those options, yes.
I'm not a fire chief. You know, I'm not a fireman, but I feel like I know what our community needs.
Yeah, I spent a good another hour and a half driving up and down 129 today, just double checking, looking for sale signs, any property, anywhere, and it's not there.
The other thing, I mean, we got that 11 acres that he mentioned. Could we not surplus that to offset some of the funding here? I mean, land's out there they're selling quarter acre for $1 million. We got 11 acres. I mean, is there something we could do to sell half of it, 5 acres, 10 acres, something, to offset anything we may need to finish it or to paying the above appraised value? I mean, again, heard from Mr. Haneke, hear from you. I know Mr. Bowe, I've talked to him about it, and our crowd's getting smaller here, but I would just like to hear from my community, because this is how we make our decisions. It truly is, and it's just being able to serve our community. That's all we want to do.
I got one question, and then Commissioner Perkins got a question. Is the church, that's what it is, a church. Is the church considered classified a hardened structure by whoever determines, is it hardened? Is it classified as a hardened structure?
Well, it's built to the standards of when it was built,
So
which is all the hurricane standards at that
Greg
time.
should have that much, because they did a.
Is that considered a hardened structure? The 200-mile-an-hour wind loads, I believe, is hardened, is it right?
We, to my knowledge, when we looked at it, we did not specify what wind load it was. I know that it's poured solid walls. Our maintenance crew got up in the attic and it was strapped down properly. Mr. Norris was out there and looked also, but we didn't pay to have it certified by an engineer to that, but it was built to the codes at the time. But I'm not sure at what level, to be
I
honest with you.
understand. Commissioner Perkins?
Well, you know, I think Dan has a great idea, but during the time that Chief Hand was here, he did a survey, and that was a general location to be able to cover those areas. I think you all might remember, till we have coverage in those areas, that we didn't have them too close to each other, and he said it would be good access to the interstate, good access to, as Commissioner Hale said, to the county site, to all the other areas of the county. So we would have coverage in all those areas. Now, when I had spoken on that, like Mr. Henniker might remember, and I said we might pay more on the front end, but we would save on the back end of it by purchasing the sanctuary. It's already there, renovated, make it where it's useful for the county fire station. The money they already have the money to cover everything, and it's not taxpayer money per se, but it's coming from the state,
Right.
which taxpayer do pay it.
Right.
But so that would cover everything. It wouldn't be much off for us, and I think it's a good price. If you get a price to do a building for $250 a square foot this day and time, I think you're doing good. 'Cause,
That's red iron building price.
yeah,
too.
well, I'm on red iron. I know Mr. Klepper said something about $40-something for the footer, for the foundation and the red iron. I think it's kind of, because I mean, I'm doing something for a church, and $250 a square foot is a little low for prices now. I mean, I'll be more than the $300 to $400 a square foot. But at any rate, that's my take. I think that would be a good location, and I know it would cost us money on the front end to pay for it, but we do have the money covered for it, and we do have 9 months to make a decision on this. So I think we have time is of essence to be able to make some kind of decision.
Mr. Chairman, one thing just to point out procedurally for y'all, if y'all do decide to go with the sanctuary, because it is over the appraised value, you'll have to have a supermajority, so 4 votes are necessary to pass it. Just procedurally, so you know where y'all are at.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner White?
I just got one statement to make. At least when I paid overprice on it, I got half the realtor's fees back. I'm just saying.
Okay. Commissioner Mobley? You got anything to add?
I'm good.
All right, I'll wait to go last, just so I didn't sway anybody else's opinion. Commissioner Hale, I'm in full support of a fire station north of town, 100%, wherever the chief deems it needs to be. Mr. Hanica, I understand your numbers, I support them. I believe you're headed in the right direction there. I was a no before on the fire station, and I haven't seen anything to change my mind on that, and I'm going to tell you why. On the rodeo property, and it's not the fire station, it's the sanctuary. On the rodeo property, we paid, I'm going to use Mr. Hanica's numbers, so if they're a little bit off, I'm going to blame it on him. That increase is about 10% over. This seller is asking for 60% above. With closing fees and everything, you're at about 60% above appraised value. It's zoned agricultural, which could be used for a church or a single-family residence, unless they get a special exception from the zoning board or a special permit from this board. There's no lender in town that's going to loan. They're going to do up to maybe 95% of appraised value. Anything above that, the seller's going to have to kick in the cash and pay the difference. So if this particular seller, or if this particular property is going to be bought by a residential person to live in, which could happen because it's zoned for it, and this seller wants $561,000, that buyer is going to have to pay the difference, the 200 and something thousand above. The property was purchased for $260,000 in October of 2020, and it's limited in its use. Do I understand the numbers? 100% I do. Do I understand that we could potentially save money by going this route? Yes. Do I think that it's on face value? To me, this just looks terrible. That we're going to spend $200,000 above appraised value. We're the only person in this county that would be willing to buy this at 60% above appraised value would be this board, only person. And the fact that this seller refuses to negotiate with us whatsoever. In fact, we're going to pay her realtor fees on top of this price. I just can't swallow that. If that was my money and I won $1 million tomorrow, cash, I would tell this seller, I'm sorry, but if you can't negotiate with me whatsoever and you're asking 60% of appraised value and that's it, I got to walk. And if it costs me another $500,000 or $800,000 using your money, at least I'm going to build it how I want to build it, where I want to build it, and what I want it to look like. Now, I support Commissioner Hale's fire station, and if that means we got to figure out how to find $800,000 in general revenue, I will help him find that. But I do not like the ultimatum that I'm giving here tonight.
So
do not like it whatsoever.
I do too.
That's just where I'm at. I think that it looks.
With that being said, I'm thankful to hear you say that, and I'm good with that. But I would ask the board, let's don't leave here tonight without a plan, because we have been doing this and doing this and doing this, and we need to leave here with a plan.
I mean, I'm with you, and I agree on that, because the clock is ticking. Yes. Time is of the essence, and we've kicked the can, as we say, long enough. Right. And I don't want to overspeak here, but guys, I can't sell that to my constituents on why I paid 60% over appraised value when I'm the only daggone buyer in town.
I agree.
So with that
I just can't sell it to my people.
So with that
Or
being said,
to your people, or to any other. Why did you do the only buyer in town? This seller. I don't know, male, female. I wouldn't know if I've seen her or him, whoever it is. I've heard it's a female. I just can't stomach it. And that's all it is. It's like, I just can't stomach it. And some people say, man, you can't look a gift horse in the mouth. You're going to save all this money on the back end. Yeah, but I'm the only buyer in town. This seller refuses to cooperate with me.
So how do we come? And I'm good with that. Y'all know I am. I'm 100%. I just want the fire station, and I don't want to lose the money, and I don't want to have to turn the money back and have egg on our face, knowing that we fought so hard for it, and that we need it, and it's definitely something that's needed. So I'm just going to challenge myself and the board to come up with: do we sell the other property? Obviously, we have to come out of money because it may not sell before the building procedure starts. But guys, give it to me. I want to hear it. Give it to the chief. How do we make it happen?
Since I did all the talking then,
I will make sure that we spend the $750,000 before June. Don't worry. So, with action tonight, I will go purchase the plans tomorrow and start spending it. So
I'm in complete agreement.
But you'll need to don't forget, you got to get turned back around. So.
I'm in complete agreement with Commissioner Land. I'm glad he said it, but I'm good with putting it over at where the property we already own. And at some point, like you said, I've been thinking it is we're the only game in town for that place, and they just refuse to negotiate. So let's move on.
And for the record, I feel like Commissioner Land said, it would save us money, folks, to do that. I mean, there's no doubt. But we have other things I think we could turn into money, other properties, other things. We have other ways that we can do it and not cost taxpayers money as well. So just got to figure that part out. Chief,
is the property, part of the property on Project Summit that you showed on that, is that as good as the church, logistically speaking? You're the call load guy, you're the distance. Will that corner work? Will you 5 years from now come back to me and say, hey, I need one further north, or I need one further west?
No, I would not put one further north, but I'll make that corner work. The reason the sanctuary location, even if it's property next, is better, is because you got to think of more than just the calls in that area. It's the backup. They're going to need to go to the catalyst site and zip across Stagecoach. So if they're going to leave the Summit property and go right by that church every time there's a call in that north center, which is where there's citizen concentrations,
So that's exactly where I was going with that. I know Commissioner Hill wants a plan, and I'm good with the plan. I think that there's enough people in this room that could probably reach out to some private landowners up there to see if there's any other options that weren't publicly posted for sale. To see, do you really need it north, or is that corner is your best number 2 option? I guess that's what I'm asking you to try to help Mr.
Yeah,
Commissioner
the
Hill.
corner on the Summit property is the best number 2 option.
Okay. All right, guys, I've talked.
2.5 miles, guys.
So what point are you alluding to? That's too far or not far enough? So, Commissioner Perkins, do you have a comment?
No, sir, but I'm with y'all on it. And considering what you were saying, I can understand that too. But I was looking on one angle of the money. And, you know, at $250 a square foot to build a house costs you that to build a house now. But anyway, I'm with that. If we can make it work off that property on Project Summit, I'm all in there too.
I will make it work if that's what you want.
So-
I just had to bring you all the options, and so I'm completely out
with
in the
Commissioner
open.
Hale. We need to make a decision. We need to, so could you proceed, I guess I'm asking this board, are y'all okay with the chief proceeding as if we would be constructing a new fire station on a piece of property other than the church?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner
So,
Perkins.
Chief,
Yes.
so the plan that you're getting, they're gonna donate those plans to you?
No. I'm gonna have to purchase the plans, but I don't have to go through re-engineering,
Right.
designing a fire station.
Right.
It's basically almost like a piggyback off of Dixie County.
They'll have to get recertified.
They'll have to,
which will
yeah,
cost us a
but it's done. I
fraction
don't have
of
to
what-
wait, and we don't have to wait.
Well, they
6
should meet
months.
the engineering for Florida, so you don't get the engineering stamp on it, so it should be okay, I think, when, after Tori back there.
It's the
I
same,
think
the
it should
same
be
company
okay.
in Lake City. They use
Yeah.
it's the same place.
Okay. You said yeah.
So if I'm hearing the board right, the board's okay with the chief moving forward with new construction,
Yeah.
and we can, everybody can look for a seller that may be interested in selling closer to the church, a vacant piece of property, or we will end up at the northeast corner of Project Summit.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Perkins.
I don't know, just a wild thought here. You reckon those that on the front 10 will work a deal with us for that back 10 to deal on that property?
Well, that's where I'm getting at, is trying to figure out a way, either one, to get the property closer to 129, or two, get the property meet in the middle between the sanctuary and the entrance to Ricksford Road, which is the entrance and exit that he would be using to access 129 further north. So if we could find, and Meeks isn't here, if we could find, I don't know if the county, and Ms. Humphreys may can answer this question, could the county get away with a 2-acre purchase with a special permit to ourselves, even though it's on 1 per 5? No. So we'd have to buy 5.
Well, that's more, he can't fit what he needs.
So 3 acres. Well, how many acres you need?
It's a stormwater.
So
Yeah,
5.
it's all
So you
gonna
need
depend.
5. He needs 5 acres. 5 acres for a fire station? Mercy.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so if we can try to find 5 acres in the next couple of weeks, if not, we're going to end up on northeast corner.
And I'll say this, Mr. Chairman, I have spoken to some other property owners out there. I don't think any of them's willing to sell us just 5 acres.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Ms.
I may be
Morrison.
wrong, but at the time they wasn't.
I understand.
Just, if I'm hearing the board correctly, in the absence, we've got a general direction where you all want to move forward. In the meantime, the chief is going to go ahead and move forward with expending those funds as possible, i.e., we know we're moving forward with new construction. We
Yes.
know we're going to need to purchase the plans. I don't know if I'm not entirely sure board action is necessary, but I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Then I'd probably go ahead and ask the board to go ahead and authorize the chief to start making those expenditures, to spend that money with the direction towards new construction and whatever he deems necessary to move forward on the planning stage of it. So that way, he's got the appropriate board action should he need it.
As long as the spending of those funds adheres to the procurement policy.
Yes.
Yeah, give us an update. So move.
I have a motion by Commissioner Perkins.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Board. Those one of those tough decisions that we will.
And just for regard, I wasn't pro-church. I was just pro working with the money we had
I understand.
and getting the project moving.
I understand.
That's not like to be held up.
Save money, same thing. And get a building.
Hey, at least I got y'all to move on something.
Item 20, Administrator's comments and information.
Do we see any commissioner items tonight?
No, we already went through that. They didn't have any. We're already down to.
Hey, real quick, though, if you don't mind on the commissioner thing, I do want to mention this, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. Jimmy's back here. We were at the NFEDP. Franklin was there, Commissioner Perkins was there. see you there, Chairman?
No, I wasn't there, no,
Yeah,
sir. I was
Chairman.
actually working, couldn't get off work.
Oh, okay, got you. But no, we had a good meeting there, and it was in Callahan. Callahan is one of the last rural counties to join that organization with us. We're glad to have them. They hosted us there. They had a heck of a storm the night before. Trees were down, roads were washed out. I think I lost a transmission on that dirt road trying to get there, but it was a great event. They recognized Carissa and Jimmy for their tourism awards, not one but
in the
two.
paper.
So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that, and they recognized us, and that's always a good thing when you get recognized by other counties and your peers. So, just want to mention that. Jimmy,
Thank
you got
you,
anything to add
Jimmy.
to it? No?
Mr. Norris? Is that all of our commissioner items?
That's all I have. Thank
Okay.
you.
Mr. Scott?
We've been working for a while, as you're aware, probably, of the generator at the courthouse. The company who set it all up, IKEA, has finished their project, and we have drug it out way too long to get them up and done. The clerk's office is prepared to cut their check on the utility batch to speed up the process of getting their money to them. Just would like to recommend that y'all authorize them be paid through the utility batch and release the funds.
Fair enough. You need a motion for that?
Yes, sir.
So move.
Have a motion by Commissioner Perkins.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. 5-0.
We should have the final go-ahead on the 137 project tomorrow. We mentioned it last meeting about the box culvert that is going in. Brenda's been working with FEMA and all kinds of representatives to get jumping through all the processes to get that approved. We should get the final nod tomorrow to move forward on that project. We also just, y'all are probably going to mention that, but went to Lake City last week, saw the governor, visited with him for a few minutes. More importantly for me was we spent a little time with Secretary Evans before we went inside. Secretary is a District 2 secretary and just a real asset to Suwannee County. We stuck around during the lunchtime and was able to speak with Secretary Perdue. He's Mr. Evans' boss. Spent a little time with him talking about rural counties, and he's from Washington County and understands what the importance of money to get to rural counties, so that time was very well spent, we think. There's a FDOT summit looking at grant opportunities and planning for October 8th. The chairman will do a welcome for that event, right, Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Whatever
good.
you said.
Good. But be hosting the surrounding counties for District 2 DOT, and excited about that, and looking forward to that. Updates on 169th and 187th, the sinkholes that were on those roads and roadways. We need to go to bid on those repairs, and if it's okay, we'll always bring that back to you for approval, but for after we get the bids, but I'd like to get approval tonight to go ahead and go out to bid on both of those projects so we can get those done also, so we can get those sinkholes mitigated.
Say
That's
those
for,
again. Which two?
That was for 169th and 187th.
Okay. We have a motion for Mr. Scott
So
and staff
moved.
to go out to bid on 169th and 187th.
Yeah, so move.
Have a motion by Commissioner Perkins.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mobley. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 5-0, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Scott.
We also will need to, if it's your wishes, to go out to bid again for litter pickup. The contractor is, again, not shown up and has been non-responsive. And the next bidder is like $200,000 different. I think it'd be prudent to just go out to bid again on this project. Hopefully we can expedite that process since we've already got paperwork ready to go.
Did the previous bidder sign a contract? Or did they go MIA prior to executing the contract?
We had a contract with him.
I prepared one. I don't
right.
know if he signed it.
Did he execute it?
Yes, sir.
So are there any damages in there for him executing a contract and never performing the work?
Candidly, no, simply because you have a duty to mitigate your damages. So, for example, if you're leasing property to somebody and they skip out on their rent and there's still 8 months left on the lease, you don't get to sue them for 8 months that the place stood vacant. You have an obligation to try to fill that, and you'd have to show the damage. So you'd only be entitled to damages for the time that it's not being served. So I'm just having a hard time figuring what the damages would be.
No, I understand. I just
For that short period of time where we don't have somebody.
That's two contractors. I ain't showed up.
It's just frustrating that we do it through all this process and we get a low bidder and we do a contract and they execute it and then they never come.
Now,
it's hard to tell your constituents on why this garbage is still there when the guy that we keep hiring never shows up.
One of the things that
That's accurate.
one of the things that we could do, especially if this contract is becoming hard, is you can put in liquidated damages clause. So,
well, I would advise you to do that on the next one. But I mean, I'm tired of looking at the garbage and I'm tired of getting fussed at about the garbage when we've hired people and they don't show up to do the work. So
I would need board, because I don't include that on every contract. So if on this next one, if the board wants to go ahead and direct me to include a contractual penalty for signing the contract but failure to perform, I can do that.
I just want somebody to sign up to do it that intends on doing it.
Yeah. Well, but like I said, I can write that into the contract. So
Well, let's get us a high bidder and
whomever the low bidder is, if they sign the contract, I'll write into it.
But you need to prepare that before the bid specs go out so that the bidder knows that there's damages up front.
No, we'll incorporate that.
Okay.
Good. Consensus throughout the bid.
I think you got consensus.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Last thing, just so the public knows, Charlie Thompson, our IT guy, was in a motorcycle accident. He's back home from the hospital. We're going to go down tomorrow, Shannon is, and just put eyes on him to see what kind of prognosis we've got. Had a lot of information, and but clerk staff has stepped up big time today and trying to help us get things on our feet. And real proud of what Vicki and her team has done to help us move forward. It's anyway, just glad that they're there to help us, and a lot of great ideas she's got.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Thank you, clerk's office, Vicki, your team.
Scott, is that the second time you've been in accident?
Yes.
Wow, I thought it was. Still have the
Motorcycles.
That's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, great. I'm getting tired. Item number 21, board members' inquiries, requests, and comments. We will start, I don't know where was I? We start on this end this time. We're rotating. So, Commissioner Perkins, your turn.
Okay. I'm done. Just one thing is, I just want to say, during our meeting over at FDOT, FDOT, I just want to say thank you, Tori, for lunch. She gave us lunch over at the Ken's Barbecue. Thank you, Tori. Appreciate that. And just thanks to everybody that came out tonight. And we kind of worried about that. Half the people have left already. So, but we thank you for being here. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Perkins. Commissioner Mobley?
Short and sweet. Just appreciate the staff and appreciate everybody for coming.
Thank you, Commissioner Mobley.
Just want to say thank you to my board tonight, working with us on the fire station. Appreciate it. We got some momentum now, forward motion. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the input from you guys tonight and stepping up and speaking. I appreciate that because that's what we're here to do is to listen to you and take some direction. So I appreciate that. And just our employees. I mean, it's just, you guys know, we're still going through storm cleanup. Those guys are still working, and gals nonstop, and just appreciate them. And that's it. Just be blessed, guys. Be blessed.
I'm good.
I'm good too tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, employees. I got birthday cake to eat, and my little boy's playing football right now. So,
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by White, second by Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
I didn't hear that. I was talking to Adam. I didn't hear that.